This is probably one of the biggest trending haircuts of 2025, Paul Mescal, and here is another version of it. It's a textured fringe, and I'm going to show you how to achieve this haircut right now. I'm going to be starting with a number 3 guard, and I'm going to be working in this area from here to here and on the other side, and then I'm going to work into the back after. In a lot of his haircuts and stuff, he does have a little bit of length down through here, but the key is to really just creating that initial base, which is down throughout the bottom in through here. And that again is done with, I'm probably going to use like a number 3 guard. You can use a number 4 guard if you want, or 5 guard. It's not where it's too short, but you also don't want to go super high with it because it all kind of works up into the top. So here we go. And what this, the goal of this is to not create a skin fade, a super short, mid taper fade, none of that stuff. It's all about just working into kind of the existing length, which goes up into the top. All right, now I'm going to do 1 step up from the 3 guard, and I'm mostly going to be working with the 3 guard right in through this area predominantly right here. And then I'm going to be working everything up into the top. I am the type of stylist, and I've been cutting hair for probably over 30 years, that I like to work the hair from bottom up. I don't really like cutting the top first because you then have to go back in and then blend it all back in together. So I like working from the bottom up. And that's what I'm doing now. So it's really starting to blend into itself, and that's what I'm looking for. So this is a great option if you want to have a haircut that is a bit tighter, but it's not like, there's no skin being shown, it's not super short. And then once that's done, then we can just go back in and do scissor over comb. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this section by section just to where I see that the guideline stops right underneath here, which is right there. Boom, done. Next section. And this right now, what I'm trying to do is just alleviate some of the excess length. And then we'll work this in a little bit after. But now you can see I've transformed this already to where now it's so much easier to work into the top. And I'm doing all of this on dry hair, which is also important to note. And already what's happening, and you can see that we've got these longer pieces in here. That's fine. Okay, that's not the main goal of this. The main goal is really just to get rid of a lot of that excess weight right there, so it's easier to work into. So let's get rid of this. Clip this out of the way. And this is a haircut really that I think is going to be fairly timeless. It's not like this is ever going to go away, this type of style. It's always going to be in style. It's something that works well for guys who have, natural waves. If you have maybe finer hair type, this is going to be a great option for you because you're able to add a lot of texture to it. And now what I'm doing is I'm working the clipper, the same guard, number 3, but I'm just adjusting the lever. So it's like turning into like 3, 3.1, 3.5, like 4 almost in a sense, because I'm utilizing the clipper and the guard here to adjust the lengths, and that's what's super cool about this. And again, I'm doing this on dry hair. I typically always suggest doing these types of haircuts on dry hair because, you know, it's getting through the hair the easiest, right? You don't want to have any sort of restrictions. You don't want to have any sort of like issues. You want to be able to make sure that the hair, the clipper blades are getting right through, and that's what I just did here. The rest of the haircut, I'll cut when I dampen the top with a spray bottle, no doubt, but all this is done dry. Okay, so there's the guide, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm not cutting too much of that length right in the front there. I do want to leave it going shorter to longer. So we do have some hair to work with as far as the French or the textured crop goes. So you can lift, there's the hair underneath, and boom, we got it. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll leave all this on top here to do this afterwards, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this down, and here is where I'm going to work the rest of the haircut in. I'm going to switch to my anti-static vent brush right here, which is my favorite brush because it allows me to get through the hair really, really quickly. And I'm just doing this all real time right here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So the haircut in the bottom, you know, there was a little bit of length throughout the bottom, if you saw that. So, you know, I would say it's not like a full-on mullet, but there is some length on the bottom in the back near the neck area. So I will leave a little bit of length throughout there. So it's like shorter, the shortest points are on the sides here. And the rest of this, I'm just going to be doing it all by hand and then working everything in. I always suggest having a towel on hand as well, just because the hair is always going to be dripping from water. So you want to make sure that you don't have water dripping all over the place. Now I'm going to create my first section. And the first section right here is going to really determine the length of the haircut throughout the top here. So I would say, based off of his hairstyle and most typical textured crops, we're looking at about an inch and a half in length on top here, the most. What I'm going to do, and since we're working on the back, I'm going to comb this out, and I'm going to extend this to an inch to an inch and a half, right into here. So there's my first section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the entire back of the head to this one section. And I'm really just working through the middle area to the corners, the middle to the corners. And this really is a, you know, follow this pattern, and if you want the hair to, you know, come out good, come out consistent. It's all about creating a good foundation. And again, this is why I like to cut the hair going from the bottom up when I'm doing clippers. When I'm using scissors, it really, really depends. In this situation, I am now going from the top down because I want to work down this way. And I feel like when I'm using scissors most of the time, going from the top down is a lot easier. It's a lot easier for me. So now what I'm doing is I'm just following the pattern. I'm going to raise this slightly here. I'm going like kind of center to the right, center to the left. You know, I'm basically just picking up hair and cutting it with a consistent pattern. Now, what you do have to be mindful of, and I have this set at a camera angle so that you all can see what I'm doing. But right now, what's happening is you can see I'm overextending my shoulder this way to the point where I don't want to go all the way down like this, where I'm like completely hunched over this way in the back. I don't want to do that because it's not good for your back. It really, you know, makes your puts a strain on you. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be switching to where the haircut is more like this, palm to palm. I'm changing my body position and my hand position, okay? And all I'm doing is now I'm able to cut down like this, okay? I'm not throwing my arm over. I'm not putting myself in a very uncomfortable position. I'm literally just making sure that I'm able to cut this like I want, which is, you know, putting myself in the right, like I'm telling you, as someone who's been cutting hair for 30 years, the last thing you want to do, and I've seen people do it for years, is put their body in a position to where it's so painful and they just cut hair like that for most of their career. And I'm just like, man, that's not really going to work out too well for you, you know, long term. So, all right, now I'm doing these corners. And as you can see, just me standing here, cutting palm to palm. Palm to palm means you can basically clap your hands. So here's the one palm, here's the other palm, and that means you're pointing and cutting downwards for the most part. All right, let's get this little corner in through here. All right, now I do want to cut a little bit of this length right in the back. I want it a little bit longer, but not like super crazy long, so I'm just going to cut that right there. Just strengthen up that line a little bit, but still leave it a bit longer. Let's comb this downwards this way. We got to go for even Steven here. All right, cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go throughout the entire back, right in through here, and make sure everything is connected. Make sure everything is blended in. All right, we're looking good here. And I like to move the hair around in a variety of different directions. I like to move the hair, comb it one way, comb it the other way, and maybe come back this way and cut going upwards. I really like to make sure that I'm checking this in a variety of different ways, because that is going to allow you to have a very, very, very consistent haircut. And it's also going to allow you to have a good flow, good blending. If the hair moves in one direction, then you're able to make sure that it's all good to go. So let's double check this here. I'm going to cross check, and there's nothing wrong with cross checking, because that allows you to make sure the haircut's even Steven. All right, perfect. This is looking good. Now we're going to continue into the top. I'm going to lower this mannequin head, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is where a lot of the haircut starts to really come into play. And I'm going to connect this now, the top into the back. And the way that I do this is I do this vertically. And I'm sorry, I'm wearing a black shirt. I apologize. So I'm cutting towards the face. There is the guide from before, right there. And I'm connecting this following the roundness of the head shape, okay? Because it grows around this way. What I'm not doing is combing it straight up, because I'll create a line in the hair. Instead, what I'm doing is a vertical connection, which creates a seamless blend going from here into here, right? So now what we have to work on is, how do we continue this moving forward? And what about the corners? What about like the sides and all that? Well, if you've been watching my videos for a long time, you know that I cut hair on the top, going from the top, the corners, and the sides, okay? Top, corners, sides. If you follow that pattern, then it's gonna help you stay really, 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 really consistent. All right, so here is now our top. Officially, now we're moving into new territory, because we're going towards the face more. And now we've officially left the back behind. We've left the past behind here, and we're working our way forward. And this is where we'll be able to switch up cutting horizontally, which means vertically is up and down and horizontally is across. So watch this. So here is the mannequin head, and I'm going to cut this vertically. I'm sorry, horizontally. So straight across like that, and I'm going to push this hair out of the way, and now I'm going to comb this straight up, and now I'm able to see that hair underneath, and I'm going to cut straight across. Okay, that is cutting horizontally. We're going to move towards the face. There's my guide, and I'm cutting straight across. Comb this down, next section, and literally all I'm doing is following a pattern. Following a pattern going towards the face. Last section for now in the front, because we usually have to come back and cut more, because this is just getting rid of a lot of the weight. Notice how I'm not really pulling the hair back, meaning I'm not over extending it back this way and over directing. You'll see something very interesting, which is really crucial to this haircut. But now let's work on the corners. Top, corners, sides. Top, corners, sides. The corner is where the head rounds out. So I'm going to be cutting this corner off, because I like to cut hair the way it naturally grows out from the head. This way that as it grows out, it's not going to have a weird shape. AKA, if I was cutting a square or doing something different, then when it grows out, it's not going to look right. Okay, so now here we are. There is the side, that's where we left off on that blend. And now we're introducing the corners into the sides. And this is where we blend everything in together. And we're going to leave this part right here for last. So while we're at it, we're now going to work our way into the back corner, because this is where we haven't really blended in. So now what I'm doing is I'm blending in this part right in through here to make that connection. As you can see, this part, I've just connected that in. All right. Now, while I'm on this side right here, I can still see a little bit of a line of demarcation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to also just chip away at this right through here and do some scissor over comb. I'm just going to do some scissor over comb right in this area, down through here. And I can even go back in later with clippers. But right here, and this is as the hair is drying. This is where I brought all that hair from the top and let it hang down over. And now we're simply just blending this in, right? We're looking for that weight line. And since we did most of the work, most of the connecting, now it just seamlessly blends right in, and we have an awesome shape to work off of. This is the magic of scissor over comb, and there we go. Now we have a nice blend on that side. Now let's do the other side. On the other side, I want you to take note that I'm standing in the same position. I'm not throwing my arms over. Okay, that's something that is really, really important. So once again, I'm cutting the corners. Hello, corner, my old friend. And now what we're doing is going right towards this front area. Cool, there we go. Now notice that I left that very, very front part for last. I'm leaving that fringe area for last. Time to do some scissor over comb. And I'm going to go down here, work a little bit of some of this off. This is just cleaning up the ends. All right, here we go. The line of demarcation, this side isn't as bad, and I'm just going to work this up like I'm layering it almost, and I'm just following the head shape, and all we're doing is just connecting that one piece right there. And it basically blends into itself. Okay, let's do the back, the corner. There's only a little bit of hair that needs to be blended right there, because we did a good job initially. Let's look and see if we have anything here. I'm going to comb this, and I'm just looking for longer pieces. Now, you can leave them longer, like I'm doing, but they have to blend in, right? And that's the whole difference. It's longer, but it's blended. All right, now momentarily we'll be getting to the top. And this is where, this is the moment you've all been waiting for, is that front piece right there. All right, now how do we do this front piece? What's going on here? This is what I'm gonna do. Let me turn it, I have to turn this towards me. So we've got the corners that we left in through here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb the front and cut it. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of length because the hair will shrink up, and now all I'm doing is creating and connecting this front area into the corners. Hopefully you can see on this side here. It's always, always, always best to leave a little bit of length, because watch this, it's gonna shrink up. See how it's shrinking up a bit? If I'm thinking myself, oh, it's a little bit too long, then you know what, I'm gonna go a little bit shorter. So for this haircut, I'm gonna go a hair shorter, because he does have it more of a crop, which means it's a slightly shorter and a bit more textured. And I'm gonna show you how to get that textured look. Okay, so good, so right there, perfect. Went a little bit shorter. And let's get this corner right in through here. All right, awesome. So now what we're gonna do, where's this hair coming from? There's a longer, there it is. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to connect this and create that layered shape. And this is really how you put the icing on the cake right in through here. All right, so I'm going to comb this all down, and now when I comb this out from the head, because the hair grows out from the head, look at all that weight right there. Boom. Let's go right down the middle here. There it is, boom. Okay, combing it out. There's a weight on top. This is the length. You don't want to cut that length, that small little piece in the front. And now I'm cutting and combing, and there's nothing left there. Okay, here we go in that corner. There is the additional weight that I'm cutting. And now I'm just simply working all of that in so that it's a softer type of look. Very, very front, there's all that weight. See all that hair needs to come off? This is really how you make sure that everything is blended together. It's not heavy. We're removing some weight in through here. And let's go right down the middle. And now is the time to really start to move the hair around, to sculpt it, to shape it, to check, checks and balances. This is all where that plays in. And as the hair dries, it's going to be even more apparent to what needs to be cut. Okay, so now I'm going to raise this a little bit and start to check for the texture and check for the shape. Right? And this is exactly what I'm looking for. Any little longer pieces, right? And you can see now we've created a nice sharp line, and then when we dry this, now we're gonna get that additional texture, and then we can do what we want. Say we wanna, I don't know, add more texture to it or make it wispier or piecier, we can do that. What I am gonna do while the hair is damp is I'm going to go in and do some point cutting, and I'm going to do this simply by, while the hair is just falling into place, I'm just going to go in and add some point cutting like this. Kind of letting the hair fall into the shears, and I'm just adding a little bit more texture. You can even do some slide cutting from underneath, right? You're checking for additional weight or things that may be, a bit off or unbalanced, and this is what's going to help you create that kind of textured modern look. Now let's add some product. And what could we do product-wise? Well, I think that my Tidal Wave sea salt spray will be a good start. Here it is right here. And let's spray this on. 4 spritzes, you don't need a whole lot. let that settle into the hair. And now I'm gonna comb this down like so. And then my goal with this is to dry it and then go back in and texturize it, right? And add any sort of, any more blending, removing any sort of excess weight. Whatever it is I gotta do, that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna utilize my ionic blow dryer. This is my ionic blow dryer. It does come with the magnetic attachment, the nozzle, you need that. I always suggest using it because it helps direct the hair. And now let's blow dry it. All right, so this looks pretty awesome. And now what I want to do is just get a little bit closer up here so you all can see what is going on. Now, I want to go back and just check this whole thing out. And I'm going to use my carbon comb just to comb the hair down so the comb gets through it nicely. And I'm just going to check for some blending. Let's comb on this side as well. And I'm literally just looking for I'm looking for problems, right? I'm looking for areas that, have a little bit of too much bulk, that need a little bit of texturizing and thinning and blending more. And fortunately, not a whole lot needs that. But here's where I'm gonna go and just work this in, scissor over comb with the thinning shears on dry hair. And I always, 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 always suggest, if you're gonna do this, the thinning, do it on 100% dry hair because it's going to allow you to see everything, right? You can't really see lines as well or the blending or the weight when the hair is soaking wet. It's just, trust me on that. So now I'm able to really see and feel the bulk. And that is what's important. With any sort of haircuts where you're using clippers and then using scissors, like you have to be able to feel and see that heaviness. Right? And that's what makes it really, really crucial. So let's go to the very front. Now, some of you may think, oh, this is a little bit heavy. I don't know if I like this heaviness. Then go in and do some chomping, just like that. Okay? I'm going in here, just doing some chomps. Again, the hair is fully dry, and this is just softening up the whole area, the whole haircut. Look at all this hair. Look at all that hair that I just removed. You may think to yourself, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But no, if anything, it helps really soften this all up, and it adds a lot of nice texture to it, right? And that's why I think this is really, really awesome. You can even go down here a little bit, thin this out. Let's go on this side here, thin this out a little bit. These thicker areas. Yeah, all right, cool. So lastly, let's now talk about styling product, and we do have a lot of options. I'm gonna show you two options. One, if you do want a little more hold and texture and like there's some product in your hair, then I would suggest my One Clay. It's a 3-in-1 hair product where it's a hair clay, like a pomade and a hair cream, depending on how you mix it in your hands. So I would mix this fully in the hands, and it's going to help give the hair a lot of texture and look more like it's a bit more finished I'm also, what I actually am going to use right now is my new structure styler, because from what I've been noticing, and this is my newest product, it's a one-of-a-kind product. It's not the prettiest when you get it. It looks like cake batter because it's so hard to mix and create this product. So much went into this. But once you get through that top layer, then you're like, oh, okay. Now, when you do work it in, you do have to dig slightly, but it's a soft dig. Do not use a lot. You do not need a lot of this product. The last thing you want to do is have too much of this stuff. It's actually designed to be used in a different way that you don't need a lot. So when you work it to the hands, it's going to feel like a very soft type of clay, and then make sure you get it worked into the palms and the fingertips, and you're going to start to feel a little bit of grip, and then it's going to start to kind of dissipate and disappear. That is the time that you want to start to work this product into the hair. What this is going to do, it's going to give you incredible control, pliability, and workability with a fully kind of natural matte finish. It's going to really, really allow you to reshape and resculpt your hair throughout the entire day. This is I'm telling you, such a unique, one-of-a-kind product that I think it may be the best product I've ever used as far as like allowing for capabilities with making it look like there's really nothing in the hair, but in reality there is a lot in the hair, right? So just like that, I was able to sculpt it in, and you could do whatever you want. Look at this. You can mold this over all the way, right? You could do one of these. So let's do more of a kind of a side swept fringe like that. Let's work this all the way in, and it's just so moldable and so sculptable, and that is what's so crazy about this product. So let me know, and let's do a nice spin around of this right here. Let me know in the comments below, you know, do you enjoy seeing these? Like, I love doing these types of haircuts. I've been a 30-year, hairstylist. I'm an OG, kind of one of the first hairstylists to have a YouTube channel almost 16 years ago. I have a passion for doing this, but I really want you all to let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this. So if you want to use any of my products, especially this new structure styler, right, which is it's an amazing product, or my one clay or Tidal wave, you can go to shop.thesalonguy.com. You could also click right here in YouTube shopping, and you can get the product right here. You don't have to leave YouTube. Just click in the shopping area, and you'll be able to purchase any of these products, or go to shop.thesalonguy.com. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. It means the world to me, and let me see your comments below. See you soon.